Okay, I'm out here today and I'm setting up the chicken tractors that we're going to use for our pastured poultry on the property. We're setting up 4 different tractors right now. They all have the same measurements. They're going to be made out of PVC because we have to adapt to the situation. We're basically modeling this whole idea off of the Joel Salatin book, Pastured Poultry Profits. In that book, he uses wooden tractors, but for us, it's not feasible to get quality lumber here. Believe it or not, in the jungle, it's actually somewhat illegal to get wood. So we're using PVC also for the other reason being that it's lighter. And as you can see behind me, our property is really steep, and we have to accommodate these tractors amongst rows of trees as well. And our rows of trees are 2.77 meters between the rows of trees. So that's the alley that we have in which to accommodate our tractors. And we want to go a lot smaller than that, significantly smaller than that, just so it's easier to maneuver them in and around the trees when it's time to move them. So we've decided basically what we ended up with is a measurement of about 1.8 meters wide for the tractor. And you can see one of the ones that we've just finished rigging up here that unfortunately I wanted to be able to use it without any PVC glue or screwing them together, but some of the unions, some of the joints were very loose, so I've actually had to go through now and start sealing the joints and fusing them together with the PVC cement. And that's the measurement. It's about 1.8 meters wide and then a little over 3 meters long. Basically it's a 3-meter tube, a 2-inch 3-meter long tube, and we cut that in half right at 150. So we have 3 meters plus the length of these 2 elbows, and we have a sleeve and a T in the middle. And I'm about to build another tractor right now. You can see there's 8 tubes here. We've got one that has a female end on it, and then another one that's just male and male. So we've got one side for the bottom of the tractor, and then the other side for the bottom of the tractor. And then with these ones here, we've also got the top on one side and the top on the other side. And then these other ones here, we cut these at 76 centimeters, and it's the same concept. So we're gonna use that for the width. And then this over here is 90 centimeters. And these are the vertical posts for the height. So when we get done with this step, rigging all the PVC together, next we're gonna come through and we're gonna put a synthetic fabric around the outside of it, because here in the jungle we have a lot of humidity. So our main priority with these chickens is to be able to keep them dry. And in our case, we're not using broilers. We're going to be using basically the local hodgepodge varieties that they have here. So we don't really know what kind of birds to expect. There's going to be all sorts of different diversity. Genetics are going to be a big grab bag. So anyway, the point being, with the Pastured Poultry Profits book, you have them inside of the tractor at all times. Now here we actually want them to get out. We want them to do some of the maintenance, some of the pest control here in the developing orchard that we have in the food forest. So they're only going to be in the tractor at night, and so during the day we're going to let them out, which means we can afford to wrap these chicken tractors with some sort of fabric, which will actually, if you were to keep them in there all the time during the days, they would probably get too hot. And we're going to have an aluminum roof as well to keep the rain out. So we're just trying to keep them pretty well sealed from moisture, and we're actually going to be putting little foldable beds in there made out of metal so they can get up off the ground as well. Now in the Pastured Poultry Profits book, you have chicken tractors that aren't nearly as tall as this. This is 90 centimeters, so it's over 3 feet tall. And that'll give them the space to jump up on the beds, and they'll still have some headroom above that. So that's basically the design, and I'm gonna get working on this one now. A couple things I forgot to mention is that one, since it is made out of PVC, we need to consider protecting it from ultraviolet light, which can break down the plastic over time. So when we do this synthetic fabric around the sides, we're actually going to tuck it up over and under the PVC tube. So basically there's not going to be any PVC that's exposed to direct sunlight throughout the whole process when we're moving the tractors. The other thing I forgot to mention is how many birds per tractor. In our case, we're only going to put 50 birds per tractor, whereas in the Joel Salatin book he puts up to 100. And that's because his square footage is about double the square footage of these tractors. He also uses bigger birds, so we could probably get away with putting more than 50 in each tractor, but to start out we're just going to play it safe and stick with 50. So in this case we have some unions that are too loose, so I need to glue all of the joints together, otherwise when we're moving this tractor they're going to separate. And if you have to glue your structure, make sure you wait until you've already pre-assembled everything before you start to glue, because if you glue at the beginning as you're assembling, when you get towards the top, inevitably some of your T's are going to give you a bad angle on some of the vertical posts, and you want to rotate them a little bit to get them straight, but they won't rotate because they're already glued down here. So glue at the end after you've pre-assembled.